Welcome, everyone. This is Joe Dager, the host of the Business 901 podcast. With me today is John Warrillow. John is the founder of the Value Builder System, author of Built to Sell, and his latest book, The Automatic Customer. Prior to starting the Value Builder System, he had started and successfully exited 4 companies. So, John, I'm very happy to have you here, and can you maybe fill in the blanks, that introduction, that elevator speech, maybe?
Oh, I think you did a great job. Yeah, no, we work with entrepreneurs and help them improve their value. Typical range is companies with between 1 and 20 million in annual sales is the guys who we work with. And as you know, a lot of those companies struggle for recurring revenue.
Is there some time that that it shouldn't be a subscription? Is there a telltale sign when there isn't a good fit? I mean, some obvious approach, especially in software. Is there something there that says, gee, if you can't deliver this, you shouldn't be looking at a service?
So software is a tricky one in the sense that software, in most cases is going to benefit from a subscription. I mean, virtually every software from Salesforce.com, obviously, the people who pioneered the space, to now Microsoft Office 365, Adobe, most of them have now gone to subscription-based pricing as opposed to the perpetual license. I think what you want to be careful of is models where the consumer has an intense period of need and then it trails off dramatically. So, for example, a subscription service around learning how to play tennis. So most people who learn how to play tennis, they get interested in tennis. They want to consume everything there is to know about tennis. They go out, they play tennis, they consume tons of content about tennis, and then they get to a point of sort of competence, and then their appetite to learn any more becomes really, really low. So they've reached a point where they can play club level tennis. They've got some social friends. They don't, and their appetite to the incremental advances become much smaller, and their appetite to consume more information drops off. And therefore, if they subscribe to Tennis.com's subscription service on how to play a better game of tennis, chances are they're not going to stick. Whereas if you had, in that case, your how to serve a great, 10 miles an hour faster course, that's a classic. That would be more likely content that would be ideal for a course, start, end. What your software, where there's a need for it on a continuous basis, that's really where a subscription model would make more sense.
Well, I don't want to go into all 9 different models, but what's your favorite one or the most different one that maybe someone's not even heard of?
Yeah, let's think about that. I'm not sure it's different, but I'm also not sure everybody thinks about it as a subscription model. One of the 9 is called the network model. And the network model is, the hallmark of the network model is that the value proposition of being a subscriber goes up the more subscribers that opt in. So the classic network model was the old, copper wire telephone, right? So in the 1800s, the only people you could call when the telephone was first invented is like the post office, the police station, maybe the fire department, right? And so the utility of a phone became fairly, limited. But as soon as your friends and family started to get a phone, the utility of a phone really started to compound. We see that same model take effect these days in a lot of video games. So World of Warcraft, for example, you could subscribe and it's interesting, right? But you subscribe and convince your friends to subscribe and their friends and the people that you met, at the party lot. Like then you're starting to see the network effect take shape. So that's one of the models I think is interesting to explore. WhatsApp, the app that got acquired by Facebook, they were growing so quickly. More images were being exchanged over WhatsApp than Facebook, which is why Facebook bought them for something like, I want to say $19 billion, 53 employees. The network effect had taken over at WhatsApp. It was a messaging application which runs on the internet and Wi-Fi as opposed to a cell tower. So people in developing countries in particular could send messages to one another for fractions of the cost of cellular. And because they would tell each other to get on WhatsApp, it had a network effect, and it grew like exponentially. And Facebook bought it for, again, I think it was $19 billion. So The network effect is one of the fun ones.
What would be the difference between maybe a platform and a subscription? Okay, if it sounds like the network effect there is kind of a platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only difference in the case of a platform versus a subscription is a subscription. The hallmark of a subscription is the customer is actually being billed on some sort of regular cadence. So what made WhatsApp different than a lot of the other messaging apps out there, a lot of the messaging apps were ad supported. So you could argue that they were platforms. And so you could get a free messaging app, but you'd have to deal with all those annoying ads for casinos and all the other crap that goes into like a cheap messaging platform. Whereas with WhatsApp, you get an ad-free experience if you subscribe for $1 a year. You might say, like, what's $1 a year? Well, when you're adding a million members a day, which was what WhatsApp was adding, it starts to add up. So I think the hallmark of a subscription versus a platform is, are people opting into some sort of regular cadence billing? And that's really what a subscription means. Could be monthly, could be quarterly, could be annually.
So I guess that brings up the real question. It's really tough to set a price for a subscription. Then if you have this reoccurring things for a subscription service, and especially a digital experience, that you got cost, but it's not this idea of this multiplier that we take material cost plus labor plus profit, and here it is. It's more about just setting a target price. Any tricks there you can tell us about?
Well, it comes back to LTV to CAC. So what you're looking for is, LTV stands for lifetime value of a subscriber, and CAC means the customer acquisition costs. And what you're looking for is at least a 3-to-1 LTV to CAC. So, if, for example, if you enjoy $1,000 of lifetime value from your average subscriber, if you charge them $100 and they stay for 10 months on average, that's $1,000 of lifetime value. What you've got to ensure is it doesn't cost you any more than $300 to acquire him as a subscriber. So that's what you're looking for, at least a 3-to-1 LTV to CAC. And that really informs your pricing, Joe. What you're really trying to do is test different price points to try to maximize your LTV to CAC ratio. So you could have a very high price point, and you might argue, well, that's going to really cost a lot to acquire customers. But if they're stickier and achieve a higher lifetime value, it may be better to have a very high price point because you're getting very committed, loyal subscribers. Likewise, Ancestry.com, they have a very, very small amount of money they capture from each subscriber. It's about $20 per subscriber. But because their CAC is so low, I think last time I looked at it, their CAC is about $81 per subscriber. It only takes them 4 or 5 months to win back all that money. And so on the sixth month, they're making money from you as a subscriber. So I think your lifetime value in and of itself is not necessarily that informative until you understand your CAC. And with those two numbers, you can start to optimize your pricing.
I want to bring in your other book, Built to Sell. Okay.
Sure.
And you actually have an online course about it. Can you just tell us a little bit about it?
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of owner-operators. We work with mostly entrepreneurs who have companies turning over between 1 and 20 million in annual revenue. So at that clip rate, they're in the fog of war. That's what I refer to it as, meaning, they're not a startup where everything's rosy and fun and you're working from your basement and everything's optimistic and roses and unicorns. It's actually real at this point, right? You've got $1 million in revenue. You probably have half a dozen or a dozen employees. You've got a lease. You've got mouths to feed. You've got HR, payroll, and all that jazz to do. Yet you're also not you're not large enough to have specialized talent. So you don't have a chief revenue officer. You don't have a head of HR, a legal counsel. You don't have a CFO. And so it's chaos, right? It's that middle ground where life sucks. And that's really where we try to make life better for entrepreneurs and say, it doesn't have to be this hard. There are these 8 factors that if you really focus on them, it can make your business run better and be more valuable. And that's what we focus on.
Well, is that online course a subscription service or what is it?
Yeah. So Well, the online course, interestingly, is actually a one-off, but it does lead in. It's a bit of a, if you will, a lost leader into our subscription offering. So our subscription offering, Value Builder Engagement, is a subscription offering where we actually have two subscriptions. One is we license our platform to advisors on subscription, and then they in turn offer the Value Builder Engagement to their customers, business owners, on subscription. So it's sort of a double-ended subscription, but yeah, we're all in on subscriptions too.
Okay. All right. Oh, is there anything I didn't ask that maybe you would like to add?
No, I mean, I think you've done a great job. I mean, we've covered a lot. I think if people want to get the 9 subscription models, or they want to go through and complete the Value Builder questionnaire, you can do it for free. Just go to valuebuilder.com and you can opt in there, and we'll get you the questionnaire to complete in the 9 subscription models.
Okay, and is that the best place to contact you and learn more?
Yeah,
okay.
Valuebuilder.com.
Okay. All right. Well, I would like to thank you very much, John. I appreciate it. The Automatic Customer was a good book. I enjoyed it very much. I would recommend it for people, especially people with a SaaS outlook, okay, that are looking to build their own subscription model. And before they go into it, I think it's got some great background in it. So thanks again, John. This podcast will be available on Business 901 iTunes Store and the Business 901 blog site. So thanks to all the listeners.